Oh, oh my God. Buongiorno. Beside me is the Alfa Romeo Stelvio Veloce. So today I'm going to be taking a complete look at everything you get with the Veloce version of the Stelvio. I'll give you a full tour of the exterior. We'll be taking a complete look at the interior, and then I'll be taking it out for a drive and I'll be seeing just how fast it launches from 0 to 100. Psst. Hey, real quick, before we get into it, we actually have a finance partner that'll help you get the best finance deal on your next car. Now, Driver have partnered with us as a finance comparison website. All you have to do is go to carsource.com/finance, follow the application process. It takes less than 2 minutes with no impact to your credit score, and it'll give you a complete cost breakdown of all the different loan options so you know you're not gonna get ripped off on your next car. If you wanna find out more information, simply head to carsource.com/finance, and let's get into this bad boy. Now, the Stelvio Veloce is actually the base model here in Australia. We used to get a lower spec, the Sport, offered, but now Alfa Romeo are only offering this in the Veloce or the Quadrifoglio trim levels. And so what that means is if you're in the market for a luxury mid-size SUV in the price range of about $80,000 to $100,000, this is Alfa Romeo's only offering in Australia. So this particular model starts at just over 80,000 Australian dollars before on-road costs, but then you add on the $4,500 for the Lusso pack, which includes the panoramic sunroof, the space saver spare wheel, as well as a premium paint color, such as this Mezzano blue. I think it looks super cool. I'm pretty sure it's either named after some racetrack in Italy or some ice cream shop in Melbourne. But anyway, so this car as spec'd with that option pack will cost you just around about $88,000 before on-road costs. So this particular model costs almost $100,000 drive away. So do you get $100,000 worth of kit? Let's find out. So let's start at the front. So I actually really like these Bisonon headlights. They're super bright with adaptive high beams there as well. I love the new grille design. It changed in 2021 to basically have a blacked out V shape. I think it looks super cool. Alfa Romeo badge there, and overall it's a pretty aggressive look at the front. I love these little lip spoilers here just below the air intakes. You also get your radar there and your front parking sensors. Unfortunately, no 360 camera on this particular model. A little disappointing, but you do get a reversing camera. And just like in true Italian fashion, they keep it pretty minimal at the front. I really love the sleek lines of this car. I think it looks very cool. So let's see what the side of this wagon-like SUV looks like. Alrighty, so coming to the side of the Stelvio Veloce, I love saying that, you get these pretty cool 20-inch alloy wheels with a 5-hole sport design. At least that's what Alfa calls them. I love the red brake calipers inside there as well. An Alfa Romeo badge there, that's pretty cool. Apart from that, you get your Veloce spelt out there, some blacked out mirror caps with your indicator as well. Like I said, no 360 camera, so a little bit disappointing there. You do get passive entry, as they call it, or keyless entry, and go as standard. Some really, really tinted privacy glass back there, and that continues to the back as well. Probably some of the most factory tinted glass I've ever seen. You literally cannot see in the back there. And apart from that, it's a swoopy, coupy looking SUV, to use Matt's terminology. Let's check out the back. Alrighty, now coming to the back, I really love this angle, guys. I think it looks really elegant. Nice wraparound taillights, and they kind of mirror the headlights as well with the effect there. You've got your Q4 badge there because this is an all-wheel drive. Your Alfa Romeo badge here, as well as Stelvio spelt out there. Very bellissimo. And just below here as well, you get your reversing camera. It's decent quality, but it would have been nicer to see a surround camera on a car at this price point. And also coming down here, we get this pretty cool diffuser, and probably my favorite part of the rear of this car, these massive dual exhaust tips. They are fake, but there are real exhausts inside, and they actually sound pretty cool. Take a listen. Alrighty guys, so coming to the interior of the Stelvio Veloce. Let me press my cool start engine button that's on the steering wheel. How Italian. Ooh. And I get comfort access. How cool is that? Now, first things first, this steering wheel is a beautiful leather wrapped unit. It feels so good to hold on to, especially as you're corner carving in the twisties. And my favorite part are these absolutely massive metal gear shifters. They feel so good to press. They just have this really satisfying click. I love them. We got our cool Alfa Romeo badge there in the steering wheel, so every time you look at it, you're reminded that you're sitting in a luxury Italian SUV. And the adaptive cruise control buttons are pretty well laid out, pretty easy to operate as well. And it's also one of the best working adaptive cruise controls I've used. The lane centering works flawlessly. And we also get a couple of media controls there. That's pretty standard. So coming to something that I'm not super impressed by is this infotainment screen. So you do get this 8.8-inch infotainment screen. It's pretty clear, pretty responsive. It is now a touch screen. You used to only be able to control it through this iDrive controller down here, but now you do get a touch screen, which is good. We have quite a few different menus to go through, which you can reorder and customize how you want, including a performance page, which has a couple of different gauges on it, including oil pressure, boost pressure, and torque. That's pretty cool. You can also see your fuel consumption history, which I shall not look at now because it's scary, as well as how efficiently you've been driving. Mine just says no on it. It just says no. Take that as you will. We also have a cool little graphic here that shows how much power is going to the front wheels and the back wheels as part of that Q4 all-wheel drive system. We also have a bunch of different vehicle information, which includes drive mode information. So this car has Alfa Romeo's DNA drive mode selector. Essentially, it's 3 different drive modes. D standing for dynamic, being my favorite drive mode. N is what the car will start in, normal mode. And A, I'm pretty sure it's like accelerated efficiency or something, or accelerated economy. I'm not sure. It's pretty much your eco mode in any other car. And you can go through and see all the different settings for each drive mode. And you can see in the eco mode, you actually have a engine torque limiter. So that probably explains why the car is pretty sluggish in that mode. Going back to the rest of the infotainment, you do get a pretty snappy, pretty responsive map, but honestly, everyone just uses Apple CarPlay or Android Auto at this point anyway, which brings me to the Apple CarPlay situation. Now, unfortunately, it is wired only. You do get a single USB Type-A port at the front, as well as a 12-volt socket, but you also get an additional USB-A port in here, an auxiliary cable, and a USB Type-C port. Speaking of which, this storage area is pretty decent. You can fit a few things in there. There's also a little Alfa Romeo key symbol in there, which I'm pretty sure fits your key perfectly. It's like the perfect size to fit your key. And you also have a 12-volt socket in there as well, and a little cable pass-through. So if you want to plug your phone into the center console there, you can feed the cable through and have your phone sit next to you like that. That's pretty good design. I really like that, to be honest. So the connectivity is pretty decent in here. It's not blowing me away, but it's pretty much what you'd expect from a car at close to $100,000 with this option pack. Now, the shifter, I really like this shifter. It's pretty much straight out of a BMW, to be honest, but it works really well. You just press a button, you go straight into gear. You also have a manual mode, which you can switch to and switch back, press P for park. Works very well, not a problem there. And just below the shifter, you have the colors of the Italiano flag. So you never forget that you're driving an Italian mid-size SUV. Very cool. Storage around the cabin is not incredible. So the glove box is pretty tiny. You can't really fit anything beyond the manual in there. You do get a couple of cup holders up front, as well as a slot for your phone. And it has a really smooth retracting lid, which I find pretty cool. Apart from that, you have some decent sized door bins, probably enough to fit a dream catcher water bottle. And overall practicality up front is decent, but not incredible. Now, in terms of design and looks, I really like this. It's almost like a carbon fiber textured material here. I think it looks really cool and it feels very quality. And pretty much the entire front of this car is wrapped in a nice soft leather with some cool stitching there as well. Even these black scratchy materials feel pretty soft at the touch. Unfortunately, there's a few scratchy black plastics on the door, but apart from that, it's just very, very soft leather everywhere. So really good quality, pretty much what you'd expect at this price point. I will also give a quick shout out to the 10-speaker Harman Kardon sound system, also available as part of this option pack, which again costs just around 4,500 Australian dollars. I also love that they've included a physical climate control system as well. I really don't like it when companies relegate it only to the screen. I like to have the option of physical buttons as well, because it is something that you do tend to adjust quite frequently. And I also have to say, I really love the seats up front here. You can actually adjust the amount of bolstering you get electronically. So if you're taking this thing on the twisties, you can fasten yourself in so you don't move an inch. That's pretty cool. They are also completely power adjustable with lumbar support, and you can also store your position in up to 3 different memory slots as well. So that's really good to see. And I can also manually adjust my leg support there. So the seats are a big thumbs up from me. All right. I think it's time we check out the back seats. All right, so the back seat situation. I gotta say, space is pretty good back here. I have a decent amount of legroom sitting behind myself. Toe room is phenomenal. I can move my feet any which way I please. And headroom is decent, but not amazing. But that's to be expected from a pretty sleek mid-size SUV. Materials back here are also excellent. So Alfa Romeo have not really spared any expense on the soft touch materials on the door. The seats feel just as nice as up front. And I actually do get a bit of bolstering back here as well, which is good to see. We do also get a leather fold down armrest here with a couple of cup holders and a phone slot there as well. And we can see Alfa Romeo spelt out there. So very nice attention to detail. We do get a couple of kooky eye looking air vents back here. If you make them face each other, it looks like it's cross-eyed. I find that kind of funny. So we do get airflow back here, but unfortunately no third zone of climate control. Just below that, we get a USB-C and USB-A port, as well as a little storage area for coins and little items. We also get some map pockets up ahead of us as well. But apart from that, that's kind of it. So I was a little disappointed by the back seats. So I think I forgot to mention up front that these seats are actually heated. However, unfortunately in the back, you don't get any seat heating. That's a little bit disappointing to see at this price point, to be completely honest. And also sitting back here is where you kind of realize that the interior does look pretty bland. It's pretty much all just black and gray, and you can actually get this with a red leather option, which I think would probably fit the Quadrifoglio spec a little bit better than this spec. However, if you do want to brighten up the interior, obviously combining the red interior with the panoramic sunroof would do wonders. Now, speaking of the panoramic sunroof, it's absolutely massive. It opens really wide as well. And it definitely helps brighten up this interior because yeah, there's just a lot of blacks everywhere. We also get some absolutely tiny door bins at the back here. They can't really fit anything. Definitely not a Dreamcatcher water bottle. So that's a bit disappointing to see there. And apart from that, I mean, there's not much to talk about in the back seat, so I think we should take a look at the practicality. All right, let's check out the practicality of this SUV. I've got pretty high hopes for this, so ooh, power tailgate, very nice, and it makes no noise. I find it a bit weird how the electronic tailgate makes no beeping, but when you unlock the door with keyless entry, it yells at you. And as you can see, we have a pretty enormous amount of space back here. It is a pretty tall aperture, which is kind of to be expected from an SUV, but it isn't the most wide aperture. So you are probably gonna be a little limited in fitting wider or longer items, but thankfully we can put down the back seats. So all you have to do is pull this lever and give that a push, and it goes down, and you come to the other side and give them a push, and down they go, and you get an absolutely massive storage area there. You can actually see just how skinny the boot is when you look at the back seats because it widens up by about a foot there. The seats don't fold perfectly flat, probably because of that really nice soft leather in the back, but that's not a big deal. And under the floor, as you can see, this is where we get our Lusso optioned Space Saver spare tire, or the tire of shame. You also get your Harman Kardon subwoofer back here as well as part of that optional 10-speaker sound system. Overall, it's a pretty functional boot. I would say practicality is really good in this car. You do get a couple of tether points down there as well for tying things down, and you actually get an AC adapter with this 2-pin port in there. So if you're in the Australian market like me, you will need to get an adapter for that. All right, let's talk about something a bit more interesting, the engine up front. All right, let's take a look at what's under the bonnet here. Ooh. Nice, gas struts, that's cool to see. So here we have a turbocharged 2-litre 4-cylinder petrol engine. It makes 206 kilowatts of power, 400 Newton meters of torque, and it sends it to all 4 wheels via an 8-speed ZF torque converter transmission. Now the absolutely terrifying Quadrifoglio version of this actually gets a 2.9-litre bi-turbo V6. We've done a review on the Giulia Quadrifoglio, the super sedan version of this car, and I highly recommend you check that out after this one. But we're driving the Stelvio Veloce today, so I think it's time that we launch it. Let's do it. Alrighty, so Alfa Romeo claim that this car will do 0 to 100 in 5.7 seconds. So let's see, we've got it in D for dynamic mode. I'm gonna brake boost launch it. Let's see how we go. All right. Ooh, oh my God. That's pretty good grip. Oh, that's actually surprisingly good. We got sub 6 seconds, 5.86 seconds. Holy crap, that's better than I was expecting. Let's drive this thing normally. Alrighty, so driving the Stelvio Veloce. I mean, guys, I'm actually pretty impressed with this car. Now, I do kind of expect a lot from a car that's pretty much priced at just below $100,000 drive away. And competing with things like the BMW X4 and the Audi Q5. I mean, this car should drive really well. So let's switch it into D mode and see how it goes around the twisties. Now it is a little bit wet here in sunny Victoria, and I'm pretty glad I have that four-wheel drive, that Q4 all-wheel drive system. And one thing we get on the Veloce trim as well, which is actually the base model now here in Australia, just below the Quadrifoglio, which is actually double the price, is we get a rear limited slip differential, and holy crap, this thing has like no body roll. Okay, I mean, this thing around the corner is absolutely on rails. Now I have to say my favorite drive mode personally is actually D for dynamic. So we have the Alfa Romeo DNA drive mode system. N is for kind of like normal mode, and A is for, I don't know, accelerated economy. I don't really know. I find those other two modes around town, if I just switch down to N, I just find that the 2-litre 4-cylinder turbo petrol engine is a little bit laggy in those other drive modes. And even now, as I put my foot down, it kind of takes a second for the ZF 8-speed torque converter to kind of downshift and give me power. And so switching back to D, I just feel like, oh yeah, it's just instantly power is delivered, and it feels so nice pulling out of these corners. Oh my God, this thing is fast. I feel like I have grip for days. Ooh, bit of understeer there. It's very easy to forget this is actually a mid-size SUV. This thing is awesome fun. Oh yeah, give it some sauce around this one. Oh. And it has such a nice feel kind of pulling out of the corner. It really feels like a rear-wheel drive coming out of that corner. And we're gonna go a bit slow here for this motorcyclist. Thanks for pulling over, buddy. I have to say as well, road noise in here is excellent, and I mean, I'm already at Saucy Corner. This is ridiculous. So let's see how it goes around the corner. I'm gonna just quickly stop here, give it a bit of a brake boost launch. Oh, oh my God. All right. Okay. Oh, a lot of understeer there, but it picks it up really well. Come on, come on. Second hairpin. This is where the heavier cars struggle. Nah. Four-wheel drift there. That wasn't incredible, but I have to say it's pretty damp today, so I think it did well considering the conditions. I mean, this thing is a lot of fun, I have to say. Like, my first impressions of the car was that it's a little bit slow, but that's because I had it in N or A mode. I mean, in D mode, this thing takes on a whole different personality. So with that being said, let's get into my final thoughts. All right, guys, so my final thoughts on the Alfa Romeo Stelvio Veloce. What do I think? Do I think it's worth the money? Objectively, no, it's not worth the money. In terms of just the overall livability of this car, I don't think it really matches up against its German rivals. The technology is definitely starting to feel a little bit aged. That infotainment screen is just way too small. My first impressions of driving this thing were not the best because I was using the N and A modes. In those modes, the car just felt a little bit clunky and slow. And then when I took it out here and drove it in dynamic mode, that's when I kind of got it. This thing, it handles amazingly. It's really fast. It's fuel efficient because you get a 4-cylinder engine, but in my opinion, the amazing driving characteristics just don't justify the lack of innovation and technology in the interior. Now, if you want to learn more about my thoughts on the Alfa Romeo Stelvio Veloce, I encourage you to read our article. It's up live on our website now. But let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. Have I completely missed the point of this car? Let me know what you think. Do you own the new or the old Stelvio? I want to hear about it. Let me know in the comments. And if you want to watch our Giulia Quadrifoglio video, the link is up there now for you. And for another really fun, kind of quirky Italian car, check out our Fiat Abarth 595 Competizione review there as well. And click over here if you want the best car finance deals for you. Ciao for now.